Suzuki Jimny 2019, the Pocket 4x4 returns. Remember 1998? The film Titanic grossed $1 billion at box offices. Google was founded, and the current Suzuki Jimny, which you can still buy at time of writing, was launched. Talk about a long life cycle. But time waits for no SUV, and now it's time to test the next-gen 2019 Suzuki Jimny, set to hit UK roads in January 2019. Rivals? Not so much. There simply isn't anything out there quite like it. Cheap, practical to a point, extremely capable off-road, and not too bad on it. But with new colors and extra tech, Suzuki's aiming for the mainstream lifestyle market as well as the traditional Jimny jousters out there on the farm. So how's it gone? Read on for our full Suzuki Jimny review. Happily, much of the recipe remains unchanged, which means a sturdy body on ladder frame chassis, albeit strengthened for the 4th gen Jimny, rigid axles with coil springs at both ends, and thin tires that send twist through a selectable 4x4 system. Most of the time, the Jimny operates as a rear-wheel drive car. Drive is only sent to the front axle when slip is detected. The transmission also features a low-ratio transfer gear that allows for more accurate torque distribution for low-speed off-roading. We're driving a 5-speed manual here. A 4-speed auto is an option only on the top-trimmed Suzuki Jimny. There's no slippy diff, but torque vectoring by braking performs a similar task when the friction levels drop. On road, it takes a bit of getting used to if you've ever driven a small SUV that isn't a Jimny. The two factors contributing here are the suspension. Fat wheels and lots of travel in the dampers means a lot of vertical movement, and electrically assisted recirculating ball steering, which is more complex than the de rigueur rack and pinion setup found in most modern cars, but easy to package into what is an extremely short space under that clamshell bonnet. This recipe results in a turn and characteristic that, at first at least, feels more like a vague hint at a direction change rather than a meaningful steer in either direction. The considerable body movement pitches first at the front, with the rear following, and so you feel like you could make a sandwich between input and reaction. It's not an agile car this, and feels quite off-putting if you're used to a diet of mainstream hatchbacks and family cars. You do get used to this, of course, and we'd even go so far as to say it contributes to the Jimny's character rather than being a black marker. The engine? A 1.5-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, up from 1.3 litres in the previous car, and transmission feel and sound like they're working incredibly hard when speeds climb, and at motorway pace. When you eventually get there, a 6th ratio does feel conspicuously absent. It's impossible not to fall for the Jimny. Just look at it. Suzuki's designers have penned a shape that hits a sweet spot somewhere between cheeky, chunky and cheerful. That it drives noticeably better than the previous one isn't a huge surprise given the 2 decades of development time it's had. But it's still unique, both in its foibles and its positioning in the market. With that in mind, the extra colors on offer may just be a masterstroke for Suzuki, because now the Jimny is a car that captures attention quickly and retains it. The German public seemed captivated during our test drive, unable to look away once they'd spotted us. Personally, this tester would go SZ4, in NATO white, with steel eyes and some decent rubber.